Hello everyone. Today we are going to see new subject, that is operating system. Okay. The subject code is BCS303. Okay. So we'll start with the module 1. Okay. Okay, module 1 first part. Okay. So first we'll start with the introduction to the operating system. So that is first question will be like, what is operating system? Okay. Okay, so what is operating system? So we can say operating system is nothing but just a system software. Okay, so what is system software? So whenever you write a software that going to directly interact with the system is called as system software. Okay, and this OS is one type of system software that going to act as a intermediary. Okay, it's going to act as a intermediary between, okay, between the user and the hardware. Okay, so we have a user, you're going to use the computer. Okay, it's going to act as a intermediary between the user and the hardware. Okay, so whenever you want to access the hardware, you can't directly control it, so we want some software. Okay, so that software is one type of system software, and that system software is nothing but operating system. Okay, so next we'll see the goals. Okay, the goals of the OS. So what are the main goals of the OS? Okay, the first thing is it make the system to use convenient. Okay, so convenient usage. Okay, it allow the user to use the computer in a convenient way, because the operating system going to provide as many options in the user interface. Okay, the first goal is to make the computer system to convenient use. Okay, and it going to hide the difficulty in usage. Okay, hide the difficulty. It's going to hide the difficulty. Why? Because we are not going to directly write some hardware program or code and get something to be done in the hardware. We can directly press on the button, clicking on the user interface, and make it easier. Okay, so it hide the difficulties, okay, of managing the hardware. You can write that keyword also, like managing the hardware. Okay, so next is it is going to provide a easy interface. Okay, how we're going to support us by providing a easy interface. Okay, we're going to run easy and simple interface for us so that we can click the buttons and make it work out. Okay, that one. And the next one is the resource allocator. So resource means it's not only the hardware, it can be many things. Okay, hardware, files, input output device, it can be any type of resources. The operating system will allow us to maintain the resource and manage the resource, so that you can tell in a single word, it's a resource allocator. Okay, so these are the main goals of the operating system. So whenever they ask you a question, what is operating system and goals of operating system, so you should explain these many key points. Okay, so these are, I'm just writing out the important keywords, you just frame the sentence and then plot it in your paper. Okay, so that is the first topic, what is operating system and what is the goal of our operating system. Okay, so now we'll go to the second question or a second topic. So that is comes as computer system structure. Okay, or you can say the component of a system. So they can ask you a question like that: computer system structure. Okay, you want to know the basic structure of a computer in a OS perspective. Okay, then otherwise you can call this one also component of a computer system. Okay, you can say components of computer system. Here in this component, first we'll draw one small diagram. Okay, we want to plot with a small diagram. So that is, first is computer hardware. Okay, we'll have a computer hardware here. Okay, that's a real computer, like, okay, or the physical components, whatever is the component. So top of that we have our operating system. So OS will come here. Okay, so that is operating system. Okay, operating system will come here. So top of that we have our system and other system applications and system softwares and application software. Our applications, apps, whatever the app we use now will come here, applications. Okay, So this one, so this system application and this one will be many. For example, we can say compilers, assemblers, DBMS. It can be any application. So each one will be used by the users. So this is user one, this is user two. Okay, and different part of the program is used by the different users. User one, user two, and user three. Okay, so we saw the diagram. Okay, now we'll see the explanation, how to write a explanation for these things. Okay, so here what happened after writing this diagram, we should explain four things. One is hardware, one is OS, and one is application system programs, and then is users. Okay, yes, so we'll explain that. And first we want to tell what is hardware. Okay, so we already know what is hardware. So hardware is nothing but the things which we can see in our physical eyes. For example, it can be a CPU, it can be a memory, it can be input output devices. Okay, all this comes under hardware. Okay, so next our OS, operating system. So operating system, what it does, it will, what is the main thing in the operating system going to do for us? It's going to control, it's going to control and coordinate all the hardware. Okay, if you have a different hardware without OS, how they all communicate each other and coordinate with each other? Okay, so that is it going to control and coordinate all the application. Okay, various apps, various application. Okay, so then comes application program. Okay, application programs are nothing but the programs whatever the programmers developer and the user going to use it. Okay, they are called as application program. Okay, so the application program can any program like compiler program, web browser, it can be any examples, the normal software programs, whatever we run, no, everything comes under application program. Then the fourth part is user. Okay, so users, it can be any people like the normal users like people, programmers, or all comes under. Then the machines, everybody. Okay, the automated machines can take the data and utilize it. So everybody comes under user. So these are the four components of our computer system in the perspective of operating system. Okay, yeah. So then comes third topic. Okay, now we'll go into the third topic. So that is views of OS. Okay, so views of OS. Okay, so in the views of OS, we have a two views. One is user view. Okay, another one is system view. Okay, so as the OS is an intermediate between the user and the hardware program, so the OS will do some things that is related to the user. It supports the user to understand the hardware, and same way it supports the hardware to get the details from the user. Okay, so that's why the OS as it act as an intermediary, it can be viewed as a two views. Okay, so first one in the user views. Okay, we'll see what are the things comes under user view. Okay, in the user views, what we'll see, okay, as a user's perspective, we'll see the OS as a different type of computers. You can say different type of computers, or you can say type of users. Okay, we'll have a types of users. Okay, each user will see the OS as his own way. For example, we can say standalone user. Okay, we have a standalone system. Okay, so as a standalone system, what are the things we'll give? Okay, we'll see the OS will make our usage, okay, make our use to be easier one, that is easy of use. Okay, and second thing is high performance. Okay, so as a standalone system, so we'll consider the OS to make our work easier, and it should give a better performance. Okay, we don't bother about the other thing as a basic user with a standalone system. Okay, second one is terminal. Okay, if it's a user is a terminal system. Okay, so then if it's terminal means it can be connected to the mainframes. Okay, or it can be connected to a mini computers. Okay, so in this one, whenever it's a mainframe and mini computer, so we bother the OS would take care of our like sharing the information or sharing the resources, sharing resources. Okay, so the OS should act in a better way to do this works for us. Okay, so that whenever the better sharing resources and information, so it will make us to maximize the resource utilization. The main concept is maximize the resource utilization. Okay, so this is second perspective. Third perspective, if our user is a workstation. Okay, so workstation, so how our OS should be supported, how we see the OS. Okay, so it will make here also it is a networks and server. Whenever we say workstation, it means it's nothing but it have a networks. Okay, or we can say servers. We are connected with the server. Workstations are nothing but a system with the networks and servers are connected. Okay, so what happened, it should allow the user to share the files and resources here also, but through the server. Okay, share the files and resources here also. It want to make easy of use. Okay, and better sharing of resources. Okay, so resources are, it can be a files example. Okay, so this is workstation. And next comes, it can be an embedded system. If you see the computer in an embedded system. Okay, if you see the embedded system OS. Okay, so what is embedded system? Like our washing machines, our air conditioners, all this comes under embedded system. So they will see. Okay, so they does not have any user interface or interactive something like that. So that what it will do, it will makes the working. Okay, it should consider basic working, basic functionalities of the system. Okay, that is all about embedded system. Okay, so then the last one is handheld computers. Okay, the last one is handheld computers. Handheld computers means like a mobile phone or something like that. So in the handheld computer, along with the performance and everything, we want to check our battery life also. Okay, we want to check out how much performance based on the battery life, how much battery life it is going to take, and we should consider all the concept also. Okay, so this is one part, that is user view. As a user, how we see the OS and what are the things it need to be taken care while we see the OS in the user's perspective. Means if you are designing OS in the user's perspective, so these are the basic things you should consider. Along with it, the OS does not only bother about the US, along with it, it's going to bother about the system view also. We'll quickly see what are the conditions we want to follow for the system view. That is second part. Okay, we want to design the OS in such a way that we want to bother about the system's perspective. Okay, in the system view, you can say the system view will we have a two parts. Okay, so one is resource allocator. Okay, so one is resource allocator and second one is control program. Okay, so the main two major tasks that is taken care by the system view, whenever you are considering OS as a system view, we should bother about resource allocator and control program. So what the resource allocator? So resource means it should manage both resources. What are the two type of resources we'll have? We'll have a hardware resources as well as software resources. So both the resources should be managed easily. Okay, why? Because so more than one process can request the same resource at the same time, so the OS should take care how to allocate it. Okay, and what are the examples of resources in the hardware and software? It can be a CPU time, it can be a memory, it can be a file. Okay, it can be input output devices. Okay, it can be a shared files. Okay, it can be anything, any resource. The OS should manage how to allocate them. So that's why it is called as resource allocator. Okay, second part is control program. Control program is very simple. So it's going to control the programs. Okay, it's going to control all the programs in the computer. Okay, the OS is going to control all the programs whatever is executed, and also it's going to manage it. Okay, manage the execution. Okay, how it is executed in our system. So it's going to manage the execution. Hmm. Okay, it's going to manage the execution of these programs also. So these are the two parts comes under system view. Okay, so this is the first session of OS. Thank you for watching. We will meet again in the second session. Please subscribe and like for more such videos and continuation of the topics.